Bill is asking any feel for how good Ben Scott will be at center.
I think he's going to be really good. Um, you know, who was it yesterday that was talking about him? Turner Corcoran was talking about him and really thinks that he's going to help a lot. You know, a guy that has a lot of experience already. You know, and knows the position inside and out, and has looked really, really good in camp. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a blessing there at the center position. That's the nice thing about some of these, transfer guys that have played a lot of ball already. Billy Kemp has stepped right in and become one of the biggest vocal leaders on the whole offense. Um, and has really taken over that wide receiver room. And he takes every single rep that that the other receivers take. He's got advice for them, really on every play. And I'm talking about guys like Xavier Betts and Malachi Coleman. I know for a fact they've already learned a lot from Billy Kemp. So, those guys are really very valuable additions to the team, and help stabilize and help these young guys learn. Their learning curves a lot farther ahead than I've seen here in years. So it's really good to see.
So I'm going back on my trusty Phil Steele's guide. I was just curious about, because he's got a stat in here that tracks offensive line starts. So last year they had 76 starts coming back from the previous year. This year they've got 120. So they've got 44 more starts. So they've got a more experienced offensive line coming back.
They really do.
So that should pay off.
Yeah, and they entered camp yesterday with 18 offensive linemen, and 10 practiced in the first session and 8 practiced in the second session, which we were there for the first session, so which had all the starters in that one.
Do we know which position Malachi Coleman's going to play?
Oh, wide receiver. Yeah, he's an outside guy.
That's what I figured.
Oh, yeah.
Wanted to check with the expert.
Matt Rule loves that kid, and I think we talked about it before that, during spring ball, he was out there watching practice every single morning before he would go back to school at East High. So he's really been around the program, since they reported for spring, and now he's living in the dorms with the rest of the team and mixing it up out there. So he's looked, as far as I've heard, he's looked really, really good. He wasn't out there in the session we were at yesterday, but a lot of high praise coming from Malachi Coleman right now, or about Malachi Coleman.
It wouldn't be a show, even starting back in January. It wouldn't be a show if somebody didn't ask what your prediction is for the season. I think we go through this every week.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm probably not going to change my 6-6, but maybe push it to 7-5. We'll see. I mean, you don't want to drink the Kool-Aid too quickly, and we were kind of joking about it this morning. That watch us go out and get 28-0 blanked by Michigan or by Minnesota, and all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, here we go again. Because you do have you're on the road, Minnesota, Colorado, back to back. Not the easiest way to open a season. So you definitely got to come and show up for those 2 games to kind of set the stage for the rest of the year.
Yeah, the Big Ten is playing more conference games in week 1 than they ever have, so it's not completely uncommon. But usually the Big Ten and other conferences have played the 3 non-conference games, and then you go right into the conference season, and now they mix it up a little bit. And so we've got a few teams playing conference games to start. Nebraska, Minnesota, Ohio State, Indiana, There might be one other game out there, maybe, but obviously most teams start outside the conference, and Nebraska now for a third consecutive year starting with a conference game.
Yeah, and I think last year at this time I was excited because I pretty much thought that Nebraska would beat Northwestern and start off on a positive note. But we all know that didn't happen, and so it's the flip side that now you start in a hole 0-1 in the conference, and before you go play your cupcakes. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
The difference between if they go out and don't play well and lose the first game, and they could play really well and lose the first game, but if they don't look that great and they lose the first game, the difference is, of course, with Scott Frost, we were looking at what, year 5 last year, however many years he lasted. 2018 through 22 was that 5, I think, 5th year. That there's a big difference there versus, okay, Matt Rule has succeeded elsewhere, number one. Number two, this is his first game. This is his first season. I think people will be disappointed if they have a losing record, if they go to a bowl game. But I think it's understandable that sometimes it takes a coach a year or two to get things turned around.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the when you do see a new coach come in and win right away, that's usually a little bit fluky. Something strange happened, but it's been done. But yeah, usually it takes a little bit of time to build your culture and get everybody on the same page with what you're running and everything. But I mean, you heard Matt Rule in Indianapolis. I mean, he preaches culture. And if you listen to other coaches talk about Matt Rule, that's always one of the first things that comes up is that the culture inside his programs are impress everybody across the board, and that's what he's all about. So, and I think that also, like the defensive scheme. They're playing. They're going to win games on defense. That's their plan. With the defense that they're playing now, with a 3-3-5, it really it lends guys to be able to play freely. And the biggest thing that you notice is that they're running to the ball. I mean, they're playing fast and they're running to the ball, and that's what you got to do on defense, especially in the Big Ten. So that is one of the biggest keys that they've all bought into, and you see the interior guys that have really like I was saying earlier, look like in phenomenal shape. They've added a lot of muscle, and maybe it's kind of weird to say that Nebraska last few years has been on the average a little bit too big on both lines, which is weird, but really averaging like 10, 12 pounds more than the rest of the Big Ten. So that kind of plays into something as well. And now you see these guys just all nice and lean and in shape. And I think that's going to make a huge difference, because we've been used to guys that could only come in and play for a few plays, on a series before they got to go out because they're gassed. And that's not going to happen this year.
All right, folks, we appreciate you being here. There was a question about the defensive line. I don't know if you have any thoughts about what the defensive line is going to look like.
I think it's going to be phenomenal. Like a guy like we heard from Ruquan Buckley today, and he came in out of shape, and he looks phenomenal today. He's really made a big jump up there into that top group of the defensive line. And obviously you got Ty Robinson back now, who missed the spring, and Nash Hutmacher and Blaise Gunnarsson looks amazing. And those four guys right there have kind of taken the lead on, being the leaders and they're holding the rest of their guys accountable. You know, they have their own group chat on the defensive line where they will say, "Hey, we're going to watch film at 1:30. Everybody needs to be there." Because they were saying that some of the other position groups, it's not mandatory to be at those film sessions, but the defensive line, it is for those guys because they're holding each other accountable. And there's going to be a lot of bodies that are going to see a lot of playing time, and so they're going to keep that rotation going and keep guys fresh, especially for the late third and the fourth quarter. So I think they're going to be really good. And like I said, with that 3-3-5, it really allows other guys, say like a MJ Sherman, to rush the passer like crazy. We heard from Blaze Gunnerson today, and I mean, this guy looks ripped now. I mean, I remember seeing him play in high school. He's always a tall, kind of a lanky guy, but now, I mean, he's a full-grown man, and like I said, those guys are leading the pack, and they're looking really, really good. I got to watch a little bit of them, go against the sled yesterday, and everybody's just moving really fluidly, and boy, I saw Chief Borders walk by me today, and I was like, holy cow. Yeah, he looks like a scary, scary individual as well. So it's looking good. I can't wait to see these guys get after it.